Sparks, soot, and dust poured in, and everyone who had succeeded in getting an open window now fought and punched for a closed one. It was as if the entire car was full of Joes and Sammys. I snatched up my suitcase, jumped over the little girl who shared my bench, and grabbed a seat right in front. Smoky as it was so near the stove, I had the seat all to myself. I took off my coat and pressed my face against the window, snatching every last glimpse of Chicago that I could. I imagined Mama running after the train, the fringe on her shawl dancing in the wind. "Come back, Rodzina," she would call. "It was all a mistake. Come back. We were waiting for you at the house on Honore Street." A small body came and shoved itself against me. "Can I sit here with you?" said a girl with red hair, and pulled back into a braid as thick as my arm, and a face like a holy angel. I'm fearful scared. "Radishes," I sighed loudly to show I didn't welcome company, and stared at the sights at the window, which weren't much, being just more city and railroad tracks than swamps and frozen prairie for a long ways out of the station. Finally the train picked up speed, and my whole world seemed to be jolting, swaying, bouncing, and jerking, and the constant noise of whistles and wheels and squealing brakes. We raced past scenes I had never seen before, houses surrounded by miles and miles of dark fields, cows and horses, rivers and creeks of clear icy water. Where were the grocers, the peddlers, the saloons, the churches, and the garbage dumps and the apartment houses? Where did people buy their bread and block their hats? Where were the people? I might as well have been on the moon. The intruder next to me interrupted with a gentle tap on my arm. "What's your name?" she asked. I gave her the mean look I called the stink face, hoping it would discourage her questions. She was maybe 7 years old, pretty, tiny and delicate, with hair the color of spice cake and a smile so sweet I knew everyone who saw her loved her. Me, I hated her. I was big, big for 12, and every day getting bigger, nearly as tall as Papa, who was very tall, and round as Mama, who was very round. I had not grown up wanting what I didn't already have, except for one thing. I wanted to be pretty. When I told Mama, Mama said, "Pretty is as pretty does, Rodzina." Auntie Manya said, "What is this pretty? You got big hands, strong back, good teeth. What more you need?" Papa just smiled and said, "You are better than pretty. You look like me." The girl nudged me again. "My name is Lacey. What's yours?" "Rodzina Clara Jadwiga Anastasia Brodsky," I said, not looking at her. I didn't want this girl to think we could be friends or anything. I just wanted to be left alone. "I don't think I can remember all that. I'll call you Ro." "Don't call me Ro. My name's Rodzina." "Well, mine's only Lacey. That's all, just Lacey. I'm an orphan." So who in this car ain't, I thought. I could feel my lip tremble, but was resolved not to cry. Crying solved nothing. I had cried the day Mama died. For a long time afterward I cried, sitting on the shabby wooden stoop of our shabby wooden house, tears freezing in my eyelashes, and my ears so cold they ached. I cried for Mama, newly dead of the putrid fever. I cried for Papa, killed at the stockyards by a runaway horse, and buried in the great Sacred Heart Cemetery at 12th and Madison. For my brothers long dead in a fire. For Hulda and Auntie Manya gone away, who knows where. But most of all I cried for myself. I was alone, hungry, and miserable. I couldn't remember being all those things before, at leastways not all at the same time. Papa and Mom had always been there, familiar and safe, with hugs and bread and cabbage. But now I was an orphan and alone, and crying wouldn't change that. I said nothing more to Lacey, but turned to look out the window, and when I looked down at her after a while, she was fast asleep, eyelids twitching and thumb in her sweet, silly mouth. For a time I watched out the window some more, wondering at all the land and sky. It was so different from Chicago. I already missed Chicago. I missed the smokestacks and the factories, the wash drying on the lines behind 100 little houses, the sound of horse trolleys and the smell of roasting nuts. I missed Mrs. Bergman, who lived downstairs with her 12 children, the grease man who traded grease for soap, and the Polish butcher whose shop smelled invitingly of fresh meat and sawdust. If I had to be an orphan, I would have chosen to stay at the little Wanderers' Refuge. I had been often cold there, always hungry, nagged and scolded and held captive, but at least I was still in Chicago and had a bed off the street. But they didn't keep children permanently just until new homes were found. I was there only a few nights, long enough for a cold bath and an argument. I'm not going to be shipped west on a train like some sack of potatoes, I told Miss Houlihan as she buttoned me into my new dress. Yes, indeed you are, and you're lucky to have the opportunity. Do what you're told, smile engagingly, and you will have a new home before Easter, she said. I don't want a new home. I want my mom and my papa back. We cannot work miracles. Didn't I know that? If I can't stay here, I will live on the street again. I'm old enough to take care of myself. You can't do that. You're only 12. I'm big for my age. And stubborn for your age as well, but still you're only 12 and we're responsible for you. So you will go with other orphans and travel west to a new home.